Good morning. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now, coming to you from our digital desk. We have a pretty big major plot twist in the discussion about renovations to Brown Stadium downtown, or whether or not the Browns would be looking to maybe relocate for a better position, a better piece of property. There has been rampant speculation all morning through a couple of reports that the Browns themselves have now felt the need to address the speculation that's out there. We're working on the statement that has just been put out by the Browns, but essentially, and I've read through it, it's basically saying that they appreciate the work the city has been doing to talk to them about renovations to downtown and that whole North Coast project. And in fact, I'm going to pull up that picture. This is what has been worked on by the city of Cleveland. You can see sort of that widened out stadium in the middle, basically saying whatever the Browns want to do to the stadium, that's, for future renderings. But the city has wanted to build this sort of coastal complex around the football stadium that includes that land bridge. This has all been worked on by the city. I can bring you another view here. A little bit better view shows you where some hotels are, perhaps some office buildings, some retail space, some food space. There's some greenery and everything, but the Browns have acknowledged, and let's be honest, this is a fight. This is a negotiation between the Haslam Sports Group, the Haslam families, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, the owners of the Cleveland Browns, as well as the negotiation with the city. So here comes the speculation that there has been a new piece of property entering into the mix of this discussion. And we're going to show you that piece of property, first of all, using Google Maps. If you know where the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport is, we all pretty much know where that is. We're talking about the border of Cleveland and Brook Park. And as I have this zoomed out, you can see the red dotted outline. That is Brook Park. You can see how it stretches a big area to the east of the airport, and then it cuts out down to the bottom. Basically, this was years ago when the city of Cleveland said, well, if we're going to have an airport in Cleveland, it has to be in Cleveland proper. So when they built Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, they forced Brook Park to redraw their city lines so that that airport technically falls within the city of Cleveland, even though it's surrounded almost on all sides, by other communities, namely Brook Park. But we're now going to show you this piece of property that has now become the big question. It is the old Ford stamping plant in Brook Park. It's on the corner of Brook Park Road and I believe Ingle Road Ingle Road there. And this is the old plant. And there is quite a bit of property here. So in doing our research, trying to figure out who owns this, who has purchased this, we're still trying to get confirmation on that. But here's what I can tell you. That piece of property is currently being advertised and brokered by a group called Forward Innovation Center. This is their website. We're showing you their whole website. They actually have two projects in the works. If you know where the Northfield Casino is, out in Walton Hills area, they have the Ford plant property there, but we are concentrated on the image to your right. We're talking about the FIC, the Forward Innovation West, the Brook Park, Ohio piece of property. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in just on this piece of property so that it gives you a little bit better of an idea. You can see the airport there in the distance on the top side of this picture. What you'll notice in this is that shade of red where they list this piece of property. It does not include the Ford plant to the right. So we're trying to get clarification on if the Haslams have or are interested in purchasing this entire piece of property or just the FIC portion of it. They list it as about 210 acres. That is more than enough size to build a stadium. But let's be very clear here. Is this a ploy by the Haslams? There's a lot of negotiation going on. Yeah, the Haslams could feel free to buy any piece of property in Northeast Ohio. doesn't mean that's where they're going to build the stadium. Are they using this as a plot twist? Are they using it as a negotiation tool? Or as when we get the statement that we're going to show you from the Haslams, or at least from the Browns acknowledge that in this process of trying to figure out what is next for the stadium, they talk about bigger events. When we've seen these brand new stadiums built throughout the country, it's very rare that they are landlocked and it's just the stadium. They all now come with hotels and almost like shopping center spaces, something like Brook Park, where residents can be built and restaurants can be built so that it can be used year round, not just for the games of the season. And they acknowledge that in the statement. And so this idea of maybe the Haslam Sports Group being able to build their own complete complex. It would have the stadium, it would have living, it would have retail, it would have everything like contained. You could do that in an area like this, this Forward Innovation Center piece of property out on Brook Park. Now, the reason you wouldn't be able to have that argument with the city's current plan, I'm going to zoom back out so that you can see this. This is the conceptual plan for where the stadium currently is. For the Haslams, while this may look great on paper, and they do acknowledge, the Browns acknowledge the city has been working on this idea of a land bridge. You can see, I'm going to zoom into that because that's really kind of a cool feature. This land bridge would actually direct people right, and this is just a drawing. You can see where that comes across from downtown and jets right into the stadium. You could have people come across from downtown. They all park over in downtown. You come across that bridge and you could walk right into the stadium. While this looks great on paper, if you are the Haslams and if you are an investor, and they are clearly a very wise business group, they don't get to own any of the property on the exterior. They are still just locked into any of the money they can make inside the stadium. All the hotels, the business complexes that you see in this rendering, that would be owned by the city of Cleveland. So if you were think about what Jimmy Johnson has done down in Dallas. He has built not only Jimmy Stadium, but if you go to the area where the practice field is, it looks exactly like a Brook Park with a stadium in the middle of it. It is really, really impressive, and he gets the money off of all of that because he owns all of that property. The Haslams would not be able to own the property surrounding the stadium. That would be the city's property. So this may be where this negotiation and this tug and pull and this back and forth is happening at this point. And again, it is just speculations. The Haslams could build a dog park for all they care on that piece of property in Brook Park if they have in fact purchased that. But it remains to be seen. We're still waiting to get confirmation on that piece of property. I'm going to go back to that just so that we can show you what we're talking about and where this piece of property is that's part of this rampant speculation. That's all it is at this point. Let's go over this again. This is from the website Forward Innovation. And I should say that I have talked to at least one realtor. I did talk with one realtor who is a part of this group. They are the Weston Group. You can see the Scannell Properties and the DiGeronimo companies are who's involved in this. One realtor, as soon as I identified myself, said he knew why I was calling, but he would not be able to make a comment. So this is not something that is being completely on the down low. There is now rumors that are out there. You can see the description of the property here. This is 1.7 million square feet of property located on 210 acres. Formerly, the Ford Motor Company manufacturing engine and stamping plants is being redeveloped for industrial use. You can again see this is straight from their website. We're showing you what they are highlighting. Again, one of the questions I have is, as we look just a little bit closer, let's zoom in on just this picture that they have of the property. Of note, when you look at this piece of property, is you can see the the plant that's still standing is to the right. You see the brown roof on that. This red shaded area does not extend over to that. So I'm not sure if the Haslams or the Haslam Sports Group are buying both pieces of property or just this one. Now, there is a whole nother entire question here that I have even reached out to the FAA, waiting for a response. Take a look at the proximity of the airport. It is across the railroad tracks and across that small highway that takes you to Berea, and bang, there is the airport. The FAA would have something to say about any kind of building, regardless of what it is, regardless if it's a dog park or a giant stadium, and perhaps even a stadium the size that, if you went with the idea that this would be some sort of domed stadium, think about the height on that and what restrictions the FAA might have on, think about game days. We know that planes are not allowed to fly over municipal or even the downtown stadiums during games, for example, Brown Stadium, because of just safety precautions, keeping those thousands of people safe. We do now have the statement from the Browns. Let's take a look. We've been clear on how complex future stadium planning can be. One certainty is our commitment to greatly improving our fan experience while also creating a transformative and lasting impact to benefit all of Northeast Ohio. Statement goes on to say, we understand the magnitude of the opportunity with a stadium project intent on driving more large-scale events to our region and are methodically looking at every possibility. I want you to concentrate on that. Large-scale events to our region and methodically looking at every, as I was saying, look at what the owner of the Dallas Cowboys is doing down there, and he owns the entire complex where they can have events. That stadium goes on to say, we appreciate the collaborative process with the city of Cleveland and the leadership of Mayor Bibb in analyzing the land bridge and renovating the current stadium. At the same time, as a part of our comprehensive planning efforts, we are also studying other potential stadium options in Northeast Ohio at various additional sites. The statement ends by saying there is still plenty of work to do and diligence to process before a long-term stadium solution is determined, and we'll share further updates at the appropriate time. While you may think that statement from the Browns is very vague, it says a lot. It says that they are not committed to downtown. They are not committed to working with the city. They're looking at all options. That should scare the downtown community. That should scare a little bit Mayor Justin Bibb and his committee. But is that the intended issue here? We'll have to wait and see. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to have continued live coverage coming up on our noon news in just about 5 minutes on Channel 19. But we'll have more on this throughout the day as it is starting to pick up speed and it is drawing conversation, as you might imagine, from around Northeast Ohio. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.